ready to demolish. No one to mess with the fighting Irish. No need to convince me, I'm already sold. Your heart must bleed blue and gold.
Suspenseful. You feel it in the crowd. When Hartman comes on the field, it's a difference between night and day. Are their expectations too high? Only time will tell. But it's just unbelievable. Obviously, he is getting money from the NIL because he bought things for his offensive line. But it's just completely different, Josh. Not right. Since Brady Quinn was there. And that didn't pan out real good. But was there that much atmosphere? Everybody's tickled to death. Everybody's happy. And time will tell. I think what made me feel so good being an usher after the Tennessee State game, where we're at, that's where they have to, they walk below us, and every fan, thank you very much. Good game. Well done, which made me feel good that everybody's trying to get a high five or a glove, and they were very accommodating. So I don't think it'll be the same way when Ohio State comes in, but okay, so now we're number 10. Are we really number 10? Is Duke that good? Is Florida State that,
Or is LSU just that bad? Here's the thing, like,
what is the team that bad, or Kelly can't regroup with his coaches at halftime? Josh, you and I have went through this for how many years? But hey, the atmosphere is terrific. It's going to stay that way. The only thing that bothers me is you get these, that's how they make their money, these reporters, here's what Notre Dame has to look out for against North Carolina State. What?
I mean, we talked about the powers of Armstrong with Virginia. Last time I checked, Notre Dame didn't have as good a secondary as they have now. So it's night and day from the last time Armstrong played Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Granted, he was hurt, but at the same time, you have a great front seven. You have a good back. So it's going to be very hard for him on the offensive side to get going, and especially since your defense isn't the best in NC State, and you have somebody who's slicing dice in the last 2 games with the offense with a better coordinator. It's going to be very hard for the Wolfpack to even be within 15.
Well, they had all kinds of problems against Connecticut. No offense to the Huskies, but this isn't girls basketball. So do I expect a blowout? No, I don't expect a blowout. I think that we should be able, maybe 38-14. But like I said, Josh, that's the reporters got to talk about something, They'll do the same thing when we play. What is that? Central Michigan, Western Michigan, somebody's Michigan. They'll say this. Well, Coach Freeman did the same. You got a great quarterback, got good receivers. You got this. They got that. You got to be polite. That's all.
Right.
But unless you're Coach Kelly and saying that you're going to kick Florida State's derriere. Nice statement. Very good. Very good.
Keep it classy,
But
Brian. I like it. I
yeah,
like it.
yeah, no, it's and it's week one for week two for most teams. This will be our third game. I think that was North Carolina State's first game against UConn. Can we learn from them? Oh, I imagine. I think I was listening to the head coach of North Carolina State, and this guy said, "Do you know what the Notre Dame's record is against the ACC?" And he said, "No, I don't." And I think he said 28-3. And the coach looks at him and says, "And uh, what's that got to do with tomorrow? You know."
Right. Especially since one of the three are in that rainstorm 2, 3 years ago to NC State. So
Yeah. Okay. But now, if that's what you're banking on, I think I'm afraid you're gonna go bust. I think what makes us feel so good, just like you said, we've got two, if not three, outstanding running backs, and Jelly looked good. I'm glad Coach Freeman put them both in. Uh, the wideouts, the more passes thrown to them, the better off they're going to be. He didn't he did use our tight ends a little bit because he couldn't use them against Navy because, excuse me, that's the way Navy plays. I just don't see that good of a game. I really don't.
I don't either. I think it's going to be 45-15 Irish at
Yeah,
NC State just because when we had a decent quarterback with Ian Book, we still put up numbers, still did this. Now we have
yeah.
a great quarterback in Sam Hartman, which probably even better than Brady Quinn, arguably. So
Probably. Well, let's face it. We kid each other until I found out that Sam is only 2 years 2 years younger than our head coach. Uh, so he's been around. Okay, he's been he's been at Wake Forest. He's had the ups, and yes, he's had the downs. But you cannot compare Wake Forest to Notre Dame in football. Uh, that should be a good game when they come in late in the season because he knows them all. But as you and I have said, no offense to the ACC, but they're weak at football. Uh, the powerhouse at the moment is what? Duke and Florida State? Florida State, maybe. LSU should have gave them a game, uh, as we already talked about, so there's no reason to shove that knife deeper into his back. But no, missed tackles. So that's the only thing that scares you about the NC State game. Silly penalties and early turnovers. A couple times Tennessee State did get in and hit Hartman, especially the one time when they went for his knees. And like we've said to each other, one bad hit, and hello, Mr. Angeli.
hello, and he looked good, and I'm sure Menchie after him would look good. We're getting
Yeah,
slowly to the Urban Meyer Ohio State quarterback kind of thing, where the third could be Joe Burrow in some other place. So
yeah. No, it's uh, and like Coach said, uh, it's always a positive when I get everybody in because you need game experience. You doesn't make any difference what we do in practice. Uh, and I think you saw it because I sure did. Although Tennessee State might not be that powerful, boy, are they quick. Uh, and who knows? Will they go undefeated now? I don't know. Uh, but okay, maybe not. He's not a bad quarterback. I don't know, maybe because of our D-backs, he didn't have a good chance throwing the ball. He's a good runner, but that defense was quick. The only problem is by the time they got to Estimate, it was 7 yards down the field. But they're a quick ball club. I think they could beat Navy. Obviously, that's not saying very much.
1654.
I don't know what that was. But no, we're going into and it's always tough the first time you hit a road trip, okay? Although in essence, we're in Dublin. Isn't that a road trip? And
that's a airfare, man, and that's a away game too. So
yeah, even though Notre Dame home game, okay, no, the jet lag, and at least he was smart enough. They didn't take off right away. They waited a day, trying to get everybody, the only big injury report was Salerno, and he's gone. I think it was you was asking about the Andrean kid. He just came back. I still don't know what injury it was, but that's why he has not played at all. Otherwise, he'd have been in both games. Drake Bowen. So I never did. You just don't get the proper, what's the best words? Ideas of what's really wrong. Okay. Yeah, he's got a low, almost as bad as hockey. Yeah, he's got a lower leg injury. Well, that ain't telling me much. What the
no,
heck's wrong with the kid?
but we talked about this a little bit with Bowen. Why put yourself in a situation? I know you love baseball, I know you this, but you still have that scholarship for Notre Dame for baseball and football. So why put yourself in a situation with the semi-pro league that you can get hurt anyway?
Yeah.
So with the and it's not even semi-pro. It's like that college league, and it's a lower
Yeah.
level of Cape Cod. So why even put yourself in that situation where Notre Dame is big time. It's big time college football. It's something you grew up playing. So I would say I would be in practices no matter what. Uh, if I was Bowen, he probably was most of the time, but going from South Bend to the Crown Point all the time, that's just jet lag and that's driving the lag. So that could indicate with the injuries, especially when you're at practice every day, and then you have to
Yeah.
go to Maryville or Chicago
Wherever.
or whatever for this game that you're going to play on a weekend. That doesn't really mean anything in the landscape of since Notre Dame's one of the best on baseball side and on the football side programs
Yeah.
in the country.
Yeah.
And baseball,
You want to, I don't know, and I'm not saying he's got an agent, but somebody pushed him to, hey, to keep your baseball skills up, you probably should. And like you said, and I agree with you 100%, there's nothing like playing baseball in the ACC. Compared to what? Uh, but hey, we can pat him on the back or MF him, but that is the Bowen families. Obviously, mom and dad are positives, you know. But like you say, I don't know, was it a football injury or was it until they let you finally find out, because I found out in the ushers meeting that, because I asked my boss, I said, you ever heard of Drake Bowen? He said, yeah. He's from around your area. He said, yeah, he's hurt. I said, okay, why is he hurt? He said, nobody knows. Hush, hush. But to get back, and don't get me wrong, Josh, I think you're with me. Don't look forward to anything. You're playing look at TCU, okay? Let's face it. The last 3 games, TCU's defense, they got lit up. Terrible.
Lit up. You still scored about 45 and
Yeah.
lost. That should tell
Yeah.
you
Well,
all you need to know on the defensive side of the ball.
yeah. Well, and I don't know if you saw any of the highlights, but TCU had the ball in the waning moments of the game and missed the first down, or maybe a little longer, and they'd have beat them.
Maybe. But talking about Ohio State, because we're talking about teams that you're probably going to look at in the schedule, they weren't impressive against Indiana, and Indiana's nobody. So getting them in the beginning of the year while you play
Yeah.
cupcakes is a
Yeah.
very key position in that schedule because you played very competitive till the last few 5, 6, 7 minutes in the fourth quarter with Ohio State
Yeah.
last year with arguably with no offense coordinator or quarterback, and you have both this year with still that really good defense, arguably better than what it was last year.
Oh,
So
yeah. Here's the thing about IU. Okay, they played with them what till the half or maybe into the third quarter. But the big difference between us this year and years of the past, we can go too deep. We don't have to burn out our defensive line every play because we're getting 4-star players, 5-star, whatever you want to call them, that can come in and let the starters get a rest. You know, the linebacker coach said, he said, okay, you've got the 3 gentlemen that have played, I don't know how many games he said. He said, no, I've got 6. And the reporter says, well, what do you mean? He said, the second team is just about that far from being the first team. He said, which makes it so much easier. Linebackers also need rest. You know, everybody needs a rest depending on the weather. And he was smiling because he said he had 6 linebackers. And we've never had that before. You know, defensive backs. Morrison's a BIT. You know that already. But I listened to one of his interviews, and he says, what do you tell the freshmen? He says, I tell the freshmen what I was told when I was a freshman, because it's a family. Nobody hides secrets saying, hey, Josh, I'm not going to tell you that you can't pivot on your right foot when it's a run. Okay, I'm just making up, but I tell them everything I know, which I don't know if that's the way it was under the Kelly era. You have egos, can't have no egos, can't have any egos. It's just more of a unified team.
it's just more of a kind of adjustment thing because you still had Kelly's boy and Reese where it looked like Freeman couldn't adjust himself for the first year. But
Yeah,
it was the offensive coordinator because you could see it quickly because the Navy game, Tennessee
yeah.
State, guarantee you
Wow.
if we had Reese, that game would be closer even with a Hartman, um,
Yeah,
because the play calls wouldn't be there. Where Parker's making Hartman's strengths
yeah.
really
No.
noticeable at the moment.
Well, we've said this going back to the Kelly era. Uh, who the hell called that play? Was it up top, or Reese came down with it and Kelly said no, or vice versa? Uh, you've got to listen. And this is the way the offensive coordinator was talking because the reporter says, how much do you listen to your quarterback? He said, I listen every minute I can. He's been there. He's done that. I might call a play and he's out there and he knows it's not going to work. So he looks around, he audibles, we go from here. He said, that's the difference between a 6-year senior and a junior, night and day, because he's been there.
He's been
You know, that's what makes all of us feel like we do have a chance to go. I don't know about undefeated. Again, injuries mean so darn much,
and
but to
that
have one
schedule
heck
is
of a good.
just a bit. You're going to lose one of those big games. One. But I don't think it's going to be Clemson. I think Duke becomes a bigger game. Uh, but
Late in the
this,
year. Yeah.
same
Well, as
same
long as it's
time,
at, what's that? I'm sorry. Go on.
does the quarterback for Duke become an issue since he failed his class?
You saw that too. Well, the only problem, as you told me, I was against the professor, and then you said, but Larry, the linemen were in his class and they did all their work before. Oh, never mind. No, you don't. You at Duke, and you don't get special privileges. Why didn't he do it? I don't know, but no, that's not the way the ball bounces at Notre Dame, Stanford, Duke, Northwestern. Uh, we won't get into Northwestern. God forbid on that. They got problems, but yeah. What makes it to me makes it so okay. And I was there at 8 o'clock Notre Dame time. I had one heck of a problem trying to find a parking space. I mean, everything is jammed. And I didn't see very many Tennessee State fans. Okay, they're all Irish fans, but you don't always see that big smile on their face, knowing we got something. And don't get me wrong, God forbid, knock on wood, Sam doesn't, if he doesn't get hurt, it should be one heck of a good season.
Right,
As
but
I
you're
said,
still in a better situation even with Angelic than what you have been too. I mean,
oh no, oh yeah, yeah, it scared me a couple times. The line didn't pick up a blitz, like I said, and oh, by the way, he threw a touchdown on that pass, but he hit him low. Okay. But you got to keep it back in. They're going to blitz him. How good are the North Carolina football team? If you're in the middle of the pack of the ACC, no offense, ACC, you're in a world of hurt.
you might as well be Navy, bro.
Yeah, it's but like you say, turnovers, silly penalties, and knock on wood, we've been lucky. If you think of the Navy game, if two Navy players don't run into each other, that's the only thing to knock the ball down. Okay, and another one, he was deep, and all right. Does that change the game? I don't. It would have changed the outcome. I don't think it would have changed the game itself. But no, you got to pick that up, and hopefully learn from it. I mean, they've looked at the UConn game. Hopefully, the kids are smart enough to realize what happened yesterday don't mean a dang for today.
No.
But I don't know about you, but I don't care who we play. You're always apprehensive. What can go wrong will go wrong. Well, doesn't look that's the way it is now. And we'll go from there.
Absolutely. So We're going to end this Irish Corner.
All right, sir.
With the score prediction. What's your score prediction for this game?
I'm going to be nice to North Carolina and say it's 38-14 Irish.
I'm not going to be so nice. I'm going to go with the Sam Hartman experience. I'm going to go 50